We are all set, Captain. You are ready to go.
In terms of targets that Arsenal are looking at, Guimaraes has been there. There is interest, according to The Athletic, that was reported 2 months ago. Joao Neves, Martin Zubimendi. But in terms of priorities, Zubimendi and Joao Neves are the two players Arsenal are prioritizing, with of course links with Amadou Onana and links with Yosef Fofana. Do you think that with the profile of players that Arsenal linked with, Joao Neves is number 6, Zubimendi is predominantly number 6, this position has been already decided, and we know who is actually going to be coming in? It's in terms of positioning, and Rice is going to be a long-term 8 already, or you think there is still a bit of contemplation and confusion in there? Should Mikel Arteta use him as a 6 or 8? Do you think the decision has been made? Right, lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We are back with Glenn for the Cossy and Glenn podcast. Now, in the latest Arsenal news, Arsenal are still fighting off Manchester United and Chelsea for the signature of Benjamin Sesko. We are going to be talking about the priority list that Arsenal have dropped and also the priority positions. We're going to be reacting to why Mikel Arteta thinks that no left back at Arsenal has impressed him, and why I disagree with many of the options Arsenal have actually gone with and considered in different positions. But Glenn is back on the channel. Obviously, we're doing this on a daily basis. Glenn, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing absolutely great. Again, the more we do it, the more we get closer to the transfer window. I cannot wait for this transfer window, man. It's going to be an entertaining one.
Yeah, obviously, we are kicking off on the 14th of June. The same day, we are kicking off the Euros. So make sure you're subscribed to both channels, Cossy Arsenal Podcast, and of course, the Glenn Kitely Everything Arsenal channel, where you'll get the latest transfer news on a daily basis. Now, Glenn, let's get into it. The Athletic today have released a massive list in terms of what Arsenal plan to do in the summer. And I think it writes off so many players that we are going to be discussing, the likes of Isak, the likes of Guimaraes, and it prioritizes some of the players that many people didn't think we are actually going to go for. But in terms of positions, some of the positions that have actually really intrigued me are in midfield and left back. So let's start off with the midfield. Arsenal are saying that we are going to depend on Declan Rice's future in order to determine who comes in this summer. If he's going to play as a number 6 going forward, then that means that Arsenal are going to send a number 8. And if he's going to play as a number 8 going forward, Arsenal will be going for a number 6. How dangerous is this, or how convenient is this at the moment? We've seen Declan Rice play as a number 8, obviously, lots of the time, and he's done well. I can't lie. 16 goal contributions, even more than that in all competitions. I think he's been brilliant in his first season. But do you think Arsenal should actually use him as a 6 or as an 8?
I'd want him to use him as an 8 for many reasons. Number one, whenever he gets to those attacking positions, he's calm. He's not scared, like, oh my goodness, I'm a defensive midfielder, I'm in this position, or am I going to do just shoot the ball? No, he's very calm. He's picked up some really good assists. I think a couple for Trossard, if I'm not wrong, recently, and he looks very composed. He looks very like he knows what he's doing. He looks like he definitely knows what he's doing. As you said, those goal contributions, those assists, he pushes for a lot as well. Like, he has that energy and that presence when he gets into the box, and he's done it a lot this season, and he's scored some crucial goals, like the one against Chelsea away from home. We were dead and buried in that game. 2-1, Declan Rice from outside the box. The one to clinch the game, and the one he scored in the last minute against, I think it was Brentford, to clinch the game. All those goals, very Luton as well. He gets forward and he does the job. Now, but the most important thing for me is the defending from the front. Now, you can have him as a number 6, yes, but if you have him as a number 8 and you also have a number 6, it's basically like you're defending from the front. You have two defensive midfielders, but one of them is basically can score goals, can assist goals up front, and he's defending from the front. So he can make those interceptions up front, he can make those tackles up front, and there's a difference between making a tackle in midfield and, in the number 8 position. If you make the interception in the number 8 position, you're closer to goal and you're closer to, just one pass away. You make the interception, pass to whoever. Like someone like Sesko could really enjoy that. Like through pass to whoever, to Martinelli, to Sesko, to Saka. That pass would be very vital. So to have someone who can defend from the front is really crucial. And we've seen him doing a lot of work there. He can come back. He's not quick, but he has those long legs and he comes back and he gets the ball back. He basically can switch it up. If you're under the caution, their team is really attacking you, you can make it two defensive midfielders. You can ask him, listen, for 5 minutes, come back to midfield. Let's make it a pivot, two of you. Work together. Let's try and regain control of the game. That can happen. He's also very good in terms of helping out and covering sometimes the left back if one of our left back has gone forward or gone into midfield. So I'm okay with him being a number 8 for majority of the season. For the number 6, I don't mind him being a number 6 for a home game where you expect to score 5-6 goals. You have him as a number 6, and then that allows you to have 2 number 10s in Odegaard and someone else. I don't mind that once in a while. Or maybe if an injury is there or suspension is there and Pat is not available, Jorginho is not available, you can always use Rice there and ask him to, just control the game for us there in midfield. You don't have to go for too much, but if you can, because we expected to have a lot of the ball. We expected to score a lot of goals in this game. I don't mind it. But number 8, yes, and it's also not easy to get number 8s. I think it's more easier to get number 6. Also, in terms of price, I think number 8s would be more expensive and number 6 would be more cheaper.
Yeah. Now, at the moment, if you're watching this live, I want you to let me know in the comment box below on that live chat whether you think Declan Rice is better as a number 6 or is better as a left-sided 8. I would say he's played his best football for me at the moment at Arsenal as left 8. At West Ham, I don't think it was typically a defensive midfielder, primarily. I think he was a box-to-box who won the ball back a lot of the time. So I would say his position at Arsenal has been pretty much nailed on. Now, in terms of targets that Arsenal are looking at, Guimaraes has been there. There is interest, according to The Athletic, that was reported 2 months ago. Joao Neves, Martin Zubimendi. But in terms of priorities, Zubimendi and Joao Neves are the 2 players Arsenal are prioritizing, with of course links with Amadou Onana and links with Youssef Fofana. Do you think that with the profile of players that Arsenal linked with, Joao Neves is a number 6, Zubimendi is predominantly number 6, this position has been already decided, and we know who is actually going to be coming in. It's in terms of positioning, and Rice is going to be a long-term 8 already, or you think there is still a bit of contemplation and confusion in there? Should Mikel Arteta use him as a 6 or 8? Do you think the decision has been made?
I think the decision has been made. I think they're looking for number 6 to play there for a lot of reasons. Partey's injury concerns, Jorginho is aging, Partey's aging, so you need someone to really push onto that. To push that position, to cover that position. Now, a year ago, it might have been different. Maybe the plan was Rice as a number 6, Havertz will be a number 8 for the next 4 or 5 years, and Odegaard will be a number 10. But that changed. Havertz started scoring goals. It took a bit away from our game. Havertz playing in midfield. I still think he did good defensive work. He got into the box well, but people complained about Havertz making Martinelli worse in that position as on that left side and making the left back worse, and all that it costs us in terms of all that, as people have suggested different opinions. Now for Declan Rice, I think himself, if you had to ask him, he would say, I think he said he wants to play as a number 6, if I'm not wrong, but he's happy to play as a number 8. Yeah. So then that could be another issue again. If he's more comfortable playing as a number 6, again, you can come to the Arsenal team, you can go to a different team and you realize, I didn't actually know I have this potential. So maybe he might realize that season and is like, I actually didn't know I could play as a number 8, because he's used to playing as a number 6. He used to be a centre back. So for him to move from a centre back to a number 8 right away, it would be different. So him being moved to a number 6 at West Ham, he played there a lot of times. He needed to do a lot of job there, a lot of work, a lot of tackling, a lot of intercepting in the middle. Maybe now he's came to Arsenal, it's like, okay, I can now progress forward, I can push forward. Maybe he can also feel like, even if I'm number 6, I can still push in forward positions. I have the intelligence of knowing when to come back and all that. That could happen as well. But in terms of Arteta deciding and the rest of the coaching team deciding, I think they feel is a number 8. I feel like they feel like is a number 8, also because we don't really have too many players who can play that number 8 position well. Yeah, sure. I think right now we have a couple of 6s who can play there, Jorginho and Partey. But in terms of number 8, yes, we have names, Havertz, Smith Rowe, but they don't really can't really play there, and Arteta doesn't really trust them to play there. So
yeah. So do you think England, because this is one of the players that are really relied on when it comes to the England national team, do you think England playing him as a 6 and probably being their key ball winner ahead of maybe Cole Palmer and and Jude Bellingham, at times Amos Smith Rowe, if you'll ever get back there, do you think that his position at England could determine his position at Arsenal?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea to take advice from Gareth Southgate anyway, if you want to win the title. So that wouldn't be a good idea. And Atita's people say Atita's ego. Just imagine Atita saying, okay, I'm going to do what Southgate does. There's no chance he can do that. So I usually prefer a player playing the same position he plays club and country. I'm not a big fan of the player playing because there's some players you hear they're playing left wing for the country and then they're playing right back for the club. You're like, what? That's too much because now you'd have to adapt to that. You'd have to adapt that 2 weeks and then come back to your team and then start doing that. So I prefer a player having consistency club and country. Now it's different roles for Maynard at England and Man United. It's different roles for Rice at Arsenal and England. It's different roles for players like maybe John Stones in England and Man City. It's different role. Yeah, Zinchenko at Arsenal in Ukraine. So I prefer them playing in that same position that they are. But for Declan Rice, I don't think it would affect us in terms of what you're going to do because he's playing in a certain position at England. Because at England, I don't think there's anyone else who can play the number 6 role. I think it's just him. It's him that they depend on. They know they have other players to play ahead of him.
Calvin Phillips, who at times played deeper than him, at times he played ahead of him. They had a very good connection, but Calvin Phillips has fallen off ever since that wrong move to Man City.
Yeah, have fallen off badly. I don't think he had a good game at West Ham. So I think they see Rice as that number 6, and then ahead of him, if they have 2 players, they can have a runner in Gallagher. They can have someone to get into the box in Bellingham. They can have a Maino. They can have a Foden playing there. So different ideas. If you have Rice playing as a number 8 at England, you're taking away another extra attacking spot for a player. So you're not going to play like a Maddison or a player like that or a Foden or a Bellingham. And that would be a no-no. So I don't think it would affect. I think Arteta has his own plans. I don't think he'll be sitting down thinking of what Southgate is doing.
Yeah. Now, on that midfield decision, there are 2 things I don't agree with. The first thing I don't agree with is signing a player depending on what happens with Declan Rice. I don't agree with that. I think we should have gone and looked at the profile of both places, both positions, maybe because they can play across. So you could go either and buy a player who can play across both positions, or you can just go and nail it on. I don't think Arsenal should go and look for someone who can, fit Rice. Because if Rice is to play as an 8, then you have to go to and get a 6 that could actually complement him. That could be dangerous. I don't agree with that. The other thing I don't agree with is the 2 targets that are priority: Joao Neves and Martin Zubimendi. So for me, with Martin Zubimendi, I don't know why his priority target. I think it's personal. I think Mikel likes him very much as a player. With Joao Neves, very young, 100 million or even 90 million, you're just wasting time. I think Zubimendi would be the one, and I think they have made Zubimendi and Joao Neves, both of them priorities, because they think they could get Joao Neves. They could get Zubimendi. It's a good deal. Has a release clause. If you convince him beyond Spain, that there's life beyond Spain, there is life beyond Real Sociedad, you could actually get him. I want your thoughts on the fact that it's Zubimendi, it's Joao Neves, the Arsenal are prioritizing according to the Athletic, other than some of the really proven players we've talked about on this podcast, and that have been linked with Arsenal in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, or even a couple of weeks.
As I've always said, if it's Joao Neves, Partey has to stay for me. I wouldn't really depend on that player, that young player, and put all that pressure on him to protect the defense and be basically the connection between the Salibas and Gabriels and the Declan Rices and Odegaard. Like, that is much pressure. They're going to be up against Pascal Gross. You're going to be up against some strong, powerful midfielders. Then you're going to be up against a De Bruyne or someone like that. So you're going to have to really, really get that position going right away. So for me, I don't agree with the choices as well. If they are telling us Partey staying is going to be the starter, and then you're going to have Joao Neves playing a few games here and then the Premier League, I'd be okay. If they're telling us, okay, Partey is going, but it's Bruno Guimaraes coming in, I'd be like, okay, I'd like the idea of, play Guimaraes there and then Rice up front, and then maybe a game or 2 you can switch them, tell Bruno to go forward, Rice to hold as a 6 just to confuse the opponent. I wouldn't mind that a couple of games. And if they're telling us someone like, we're sending 2 players, you're sending Joao Neves and a Fofana, and then you're going to get rid of Partey, or you're going to send an Onana to play there, and Joao Neves as well, I would agree with that. But in terms of just direct and starter, Joao Neves there and then Rice in front of him. I don't know. I think you would take a lot of. It's a risk. It's a huge risk. Zubimendi, as you said, you compare him to Jorginho in terms of ball control in midfield and all that. The only thing I'd be worried about is physicality. Now you can argue Declan Rice can help him out in terms of that, but you'll still need Declan Rice to come back again and do a lot of defending, and you might as well just play him as a number 6 in that position. So. You said something about Declan Rice. You're not happy without us making decisions depending on Declan Rice.
Declan Rice's future. I'm not 100%. Confused. Imagine if we were signing players, with Partey in mind. Do you think that project would still be running?
No, obviously not. I guess for Rice, you might do it because he's always there, he's always fit, he's always part of the team and all that. Sometimes you can say something like, okay. Odegaard or let's say Bruno Fernandes is really giving so many passes at Man United. We need to sign a player,
a striker.
A striker. We need someone to, come because of Bruno Fernandes. We need to sign someone and build the team around Bruno Fernandes. Let's get a striker because he can get at the end of those passes. I think midfield is a little bit different because that's like the spine of your team. You have to get it sorted either way. But if I had to pick a player and say, okay, this is the player that I'm going to buy a player because of him, or we're going to, work the project around him, I wouldn't mind it being Odegaard and Rice because they're always available. He's just been signed. He's going to always be here. But again, the choices are not really convinced about. Douglas Luiz would be an option for me. But again, in terms of, I don't know, I really need someone to, someone who has a lot of abilities in that midfield. He can make interceptions, tackles, he can control the ball, he can help us in terms of transition very quickly. He's not going to be bullied, he's disciplined, not going to pick up 20 yellow cards. That's why I look at a player like Palhinha, I'm like, those 5, 6, 7, 8 game suspensions every season, we're going to miss him. So for me, I do understand what you're saying, but I don't mind building it with Rice in mind because he's a very crucial player in the team, but the choices as well would really have to sit down and discuss.
Yeah, so definitely, if you are following the midfield situation at Arsenal, you're looking at Martin Zubimendi and Joao Neves as two of the most appreciated players in that position. The only good thing I've got from the Athletic in terms of the infield is that Arsenal are looking to bring in someone, and also that Arsenal are looking to bring in someone that is a little bit versatile to allow Mikel Arteta have that tactical versatility. Now, the other position I don't really agree with, and I failed to understand since morning, is left back. According to the Athletic today, Mikel Arteta was not impressed by any of the left back options that played for Arsenal last season. Mikel Arteta wants it's a left back, specialty, and the player that comes in is more likely to start games, at left back, as contrary to popular belief that Julian Timber was coming back to slot into that position and do his thing. So Mikel wants a new left back. Let's start there. I can't understand. He's not impressed by anyone. He's wanting to send a new left back, despite the fact that Timber is coming back. Zero understanding on my side.
Now, I guess I'm looking at our 4 defenders. Maybe signing Timber, he was trying to get our defenders all in one. Now, maybe it feels like Zinchenko. Well, he does what I want in terms of inverting. He gets, the ball control in midfield. He does those incredible in between between midfield passes and all that. So yeah, I like Zinchenko, but I'm not really sure about his defensive work. Maybe this is Arteta speaking. I mean, I'm not sure about his defensive work, but his attacking work is great in terms of going into the midfield and all that. But he still lacks something. Well, let's look at Tomiyasu. Yeah, Tomiyasu is giving me the defending I want. Yeah, Tomiyasu is great at defending. We can get the clean sheets. We are happy to keep it solid at the back, keep clean sheets. We keep clean sheets for fun. Yeah, all that is great. One-on-one marking, one of the best. But then again, really, really do the inverting work for me if I want him to do or not. I'm not sure he's good at that. Will he overlap Martinelli and Trossard on the left side and put in across with his left foot? I don't think you're ever going to see that from Tomiyasu. So let's try Timber. Timber comes and gets injured. I think in terms of combine the two, I think Timber can do the inverted thing and he can also defend. So maybe he was trying to get that, but maybe it also feels I need a third and fourth quality. Maybe I need a defender who can also head the ball ahead of as well as inverting, as well as defending, as well as overlapping and crossing the ball with left foot, right foot, and all that. So to get a defender like that, maybe he's looking at all 4 of those qualities. Can he attack as a fullback in terms of overlapping? Can he invert? Can he defend? Can he head the ball? I don't know. I think Timber is the closest to that.
I mean, you make a lot of sense actually when you think about the extra qualities. Do you think that Ben White's ability to invert, like we've seen this season, has changed his mind about Julian Timber? Because when Timber came in, he was the perfect replacement to Alexander Zinchenko. Defensively astute, could invert him into midfield. His passing range is very good. And then Ben White could actually go on and do his thing, overlap Saka, and do their thing. Don't you think that this would be kind of a disruption? Once again, and if we were to bring in a left back, what do you think is looking at in terms of profile? Because I don't have the profile of the left back that we're looking at, but we're going to talk about Hato, who is wanted there, and his maybe qualities. But don't you think it's a bit of a disruption to the system that he has built right at the moment? Don't you think it would be too many disruptions?
It might be in terms of what he's looking for. I think he's looking for exactly a player like Joao Hato, a player who can also play as a centre back, or a player as a centre back, but basically make it 4 centre backs playing at the back, just like Guardiola. Because Guardiola these days he plays there permanently, and then sometimes Stones at right back and all that. Maybe that's his what.
The physicality thing is also something big when the player who comes in.
Yeah, physicality is big. Now, again, you can argue Kiwi is the closest to that. He can head the ball. He's a centre back who can play as a left back. He can, push forward and cross, but he doesn't have the main thing that Atlanta wants, the inverting thing. So yes, you can argue that Ben White can do it. Maybe the left back thing has changed, but in terms of just getting a player who fits into what we're looking for, maybe Kivio is the closest to that. Maybe Timber is the closest to that, but there's something maybe it's missing. I've not seen Timber enough yet in an Arsenal shirt to know if he's missing any of those, but it's very hard to predict. Personally, I still say don't feel like we need a defender. It's no problem to add another one and keep the 7 of them. All of them bring different qualities. My thinking was have Tomiyasu as a backup for Ben White. Sometimes Ben White is on a yellow card. If you have Tomiyasu off the bench, fine. Have Gabriel and Saliba. If one of them is suspended or injured, you can have Kivio coming on for Gabriel. You can have White or Tomiyasu playing in the Saliba role for 1 or 2 games. There's Timber at left back. There's Zinchenko to help him out. If it's a tough game, you can play Tomiyasu there. And then if you have an extra defender, absolutely no problem. That is absolutely huge if you have that. But in terms of Ben White making him change, is it good to change the system? I don't think it would change that much. Maybe a Ben White surprises him, like Ben White is a centre back, also as a centre back, and then he surprised us, and then he was pushed to the right back. Maybe at that moment you have to change a few things here and there. Maybe he was trying to get a right back, but he decided to now bring back Saliba. Maybe. Because I think I'm actually so happy Ben White started playing at right back. Because if he didn't, we were thinking who's going to play between Ben White and Saliba, Ben White, Saliba, Ben White, Saliba, and it really helped us because Tomiyasu picked up an injury and Ben White covered that position well. So maybe as the player continues to develop, that star realizes, listen, this player can play also this role that I want. Can he use it from the right side, and then on the left side we become more solid. Also in terms of can we get someone to also improve Martinelli? Maybe he feels like Martinelli's game has gone down on that side. Can we get someone to help him out on that left side? Because I think if you're to get us, I think our right side was better than the left side last season in general.
100%.
Even though Trossard scored the goals at the end.
Yeah.
So our right side is better. So personally, I would keep the right side the same because I feel like Ben White over they get that role. It works out so well for us. So I'd keep it the same on the right side. It's very hard. Personally, for me, I'd keep the defenders the way it is. I think it's also very hard to predict what Atlanta do want to do this season. I think it's the toughest to know in terms of forward line, in terms of Sesko, Osimhen, in terms of why are we buying a left back or centre back? Could it be Gabriel? Because last season we started with Gabriel on the bench. Could we, all of a sudden see Gabriel back on the bench and then you see someone else in that position? It's so hard to predict, but it's going to be an interesting one. Hopefully, whatever it does, it works out for us from the beginning, from the first game.
Now, in terms of profile, Arsenal be linked with 2 different profiles this summer. One is the profile of Fadika Dioglu, Grimaldo, and Jeremy Frimpong. A player who can literally play as a wing back, very, very explosive, plays that highline very well. And the thinking behind such a player is that he can go and overlap Gabriel Martinelli, and then we have a partnership that we have seen with Ben White and Saka on the left hand side with Martinelli and a player like Fadika Dioglu. That is profile number 1. Profile number 2 is the priority for Mikel Arteta. That is Joao Hato. Big on him, and the Athletic today are saying he's got to get him, because that is the profile he wants. That is the player that fits the vision of what Mikel Arteta wants at left back. When you look at those two, I think Joao Hato is closer to what we have at Arsenal at the moment. Maybe not consistently, so maybe Mikel wants it consistently. Fadika Dioglu is the one that is far away in terms of what Arsenal have. Timber loves to invert, not to run a lot, alongside that line. Jakub Kivio, definitely not a traditional winger. Tomiyasu, definitely not a traditional winger. Alexander Zinchenko, not a traditional winger. But then there is Kieran Tierney. If we are looking for a player that is going to bomb up and down the line, Kieran Tierney is there, and maybe he could give him a chance. First and foremost, which profile do you think suits us better? Secondly, any options that we've talked about that you think would be considered, especially Tierney, in terms of difference of what we've not seen this season?
You're never going to get Tierney playing in that team again. He cannot do the inverting thing, and that is a worry for it. Now, maybe, as you said, Ben White now can play there. Maybe it should be something that he looks forward ahead, but in terms of heading and having 4 centre-backs at the back, energy, pulling, I don't think Arteta sees any of that in Kieran Tierney. What would I want? I want Ben White to stay there, do what you've been doing, overlap Saka, defend, do that. Saliba, Gabriel, do what you need to do, what you've been doing, push forward a bit, press the team, and then you have the pace to go in behind. In terms of left back, personally, I'm feeling like Timber can do the job for us. But if you want a new left back, what profile would I be looking for? I'd be looking for someone like a Robertson in his prime with Trent Alexander-Arnold, that kind of player. He can push forward, he can score goals, he can assist goals, he can also defend at the end of it, and he can also sometimes come into midfield. Someone who would be great, but is not great at defending, is Cancelo. He's kind of like a Zinchenko. Cancelo would do that incredibly well. He can overlap, go forward, score goals, get into midfield today. I watched a Portugal game last night, and Cancelo had like 4 or 5 shots from left back. He's just getting forward, shots on target, get right foot, left foot. But I don't think he's a good defender at all. You're risking it in that position. So for me, I'd be looking for a profile like a Robertson 5 years ago, an Ashley Cole 2 decades ago, a player like that who's always going constantly up and down, up and down, up and down. And they can also defend. If a cross comes in, they can clear the ball, and they can also invert a few times here and there. But again, to guess what it is looking for in terms of that, it's a weird one, because we've not really seen Timber, unless you've seen him in training and realize now, I don't know, I can't really trust him in this, but there's a reason why he bought him. There has to be a reason why he bought him.
Yeah. I mean, the Arsenal project really evolves very quickly. And I would say, for me, in terms of left back, if he's going to sign someone else, then it's got to be the kind of Kadioglu style. There we understand something very different, something Arsenal have not tried, and something we don't have at the moment. But if it goes on to sign, maybe if the centre back, the player is going to play as centre back, stroke left back, then you would understand that maybe Mikel is trying to, cut the costs in terms of.
What if he goes for a player like a Cucurella? Would you be surprised? Would you see what he's trying to do?
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a player like Cucurella. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Again with Cucurella, defensively at Chelsea has been exposed a little bit, but
a lot.
It's about his game in the other half. It's about his game, how he impacts the other half. So I would be I would understand, and I wouldn't be shocked actually if Arsenal really said we want Marco Correa right now. I wouldn't be really shocked as much. So there's a lot happening on the left back position, especially now that Arsenal are confirmed to be looking for one, but Joao Hato is still our number 1 priority, although the deal is very hard to do. Now, in terms of wingers, this is where Mikel Arteta agrees with Glenn that Arsenal are looking and should be looking at someone to help out Saka on the right-hand side rather than someone to replace him, or even go and sign a left winger. We are looking for someone at right wing. We are looking for someone who can actually provide quality competition to Bukayo Saka. And the 2 options there are Pedro Neto and Nico Williams. When you look at those 2 positions, those 2 players, you already know that we're looking for someone to help out Saka. Are you surprised?
No, not at all. That is something that everyone complained about the entire season. And we could say he doesn't get any protection. He just gets kicked 5-6 times a day. There's a lot of times, as you pointed out in one of the videos we did a week ago, sometimes you think he's going to be subbed off, but he's not really going to be subbed off, because even if you're 3-0 up, or you said, many people say maybe it's because Wate doesn't want to sub him off, but for me, there's a part of me that feels, maybe the bench is not good enough. And even if you're 2-0 up, it feels like if I take Saka off, we are losing not only in attacking in terms of, destroying the fullback, we are missing it out defensively as well. Saka and Martinelli did a lot of defensive work last season, and that is something I always applaud them for. Always coming back, defending, clearing the ball, getting into tackles, winning us goal kicks. Saka was doing that a lot in terms of just pressing and coming back and defending. We definitely need a backup. Saka missed out of the 5 crucial games we had in the season. You can include FC Porto there, you can include Man City away there. But 2 of them out of the 5, the last game of the season where he had a chance to win the league, Saka was unavailable.
Yeah,
we had to play Martinelli on the right side. Now we didn't like batter Everton. We had to depend on a last minute goal to win that game. If Man City had lost, it would have been a disaster. If we didn't win that game. And number 2, the game against Man City, which is a crucial game at the beginning of the season. We had not beat Man City in a long time. We are now trying to build on beating them in the Community Shield and try to finally beat them in the league for like 10 years. He also missed that game. There's a lot of games where Saka was not playing well, Martinelli was not playing well, and he didn't really have anyone on the bench to turn to. You look at Nelson against Bayern Munich, nah. You look at Fabio Vieira on the right side, even in the last 3 months of the season, nah, doesn't really fit there. Martinelli on the right side, I don't like him there. Trossard on the right side, we've never really tried him there because he plays there for Belgium. Would like to see it, but doesn't really work out. Let's be honest, doesn't really work out.
The only player that has been there and provided something very different has been Fabio Vieira. The rest of the players, you don't want to see them again.
Yeah, he's provided something different. I agree with that, but maybe we just want a pace guy on that wing to just drift past the fullback, not cut inside and all the time and try to pick out a pass and all that. Maybe that could be, but we've always needed a backup for Saka. He plays so many games just to have someone to relieve him of his duties. 60 minutes you can come off, you're 2-0 up, and it's not dropping in quality. In terms of our whole squad, when Raya was coming in for Ramsdale for Raya, I didn't feel like we were dropping too much in terms of quality. Yeah. When Tomiyasu comes in for Ben White, I don't feel like we're dropping in quality. Even if Ben White is at centre back next to Gabriel, I don't feel too much. Tomiyasu at left back, all that, I don't really feel too much in terms of dropping. Partey, Jorginho last season, I felt, Partey is better in terms of quality, but Jorginho did his job, so I wasn't really worried. Even if Partey was not there, Jorginho was doing a great job. Odegaard, you might argue the two, but Martinelli, Trossard, people, Arsenal fans still love Martinelli. We still know he can do a job. Now, the only 2-3 positions that you feel like if you take off a player here in a bit of problems, it's Odegaard. If you take out Odegaard and bring whoever you bring on, there's a problem there.
There's a problem.
I remember we played West Ham in the Carabao Cup, the 3-1, where they trashed us, and then we brought in Odegaard, Rice, and Saka in the last 10 minutes. We didn't have Odegaard, and you really struggled. And Odegaard came on right away with Saka, and we scored a goal. And you could tell, we were really missing them. If you have to have at least one of them on the pitch. If you don't have both of them, you're going to struggle. And then on top of that, the Saka position. If you remove Saka and you bring in Nelson or Martinelli on the right side, it's dropping in terms of quality. Whether people joke about Saka, he's had a bad season, is not. The numbers are always there, and we can look at some crucial things that he did. He played very well against Liverpool. He played very well against he didn't play well against Chelsea. He still got an assist for Trossard, and not many people can pick out that pass. And he did that a lot of times. Bayern Munich scoring the opening goal of that game with a lot of skill.
That's a good goal.
The second goal of the season for us against Nottingham Forest, absolute quality from outside the box, smashed it. Yeah. And whenever you ask opposition fans, that's how you know who is right about who. When you ask opposition fans, who are you right about in the Arsenal team? They usually say 2 names, Odegaard and Saka. Yes, they might say Rice and someone, but it's usually Odegaard and Saka. Usually hear them, we need to worry about Saka against Odegaard, Saka. The last 5 games, I had Chelsea fans saying, we need to worry about Odegaard. Man United fans saying, obviously, we need to worry about Saka, Odegaard as well on that right side. So the moment you take them out, you're losing a lot of quality. So that's another reason why you need someone there. And we've just never had a backup for Saka. He's done a lot for us for 4 years. Martinelli has a backup in Trossard. Havertz has a backup in Jesus. Martinelli, Saka doesn't really have one.
Big game player for us, consistent performer in terms of numbers, also in terms of quality, most fouled player in the Premier League, most progressive passes from Arsenal got into Saka. He receives the ball a lot for us, and he always delivers. So he deserves to rest and deserves a player that is actually closer to him. Now, when I think about these two options, Pedro Neto, scouted for a long time. That is the reason as to why he's on this list. I cannot lie, because with his injury record, I was shocked. I thought maybe Olise would actually break through, but Arsenal are very, very tight when it comes to gatekeeping. When they have a list of targets, for you to creep into it, you must have done a lot of good work in recent times. So Pedro Neto, good Premier League proven, scouted for a long time. Very injury prone. Nico Williams has a release clause, explosive winger. He's going to be one of the very exciting talents to watch in the next 2-3 years, especially if he makes a good switch to a good club. He's one of the young players, I think, in Spain that I would say that talent comes at Arsenal, and I'm excited to see. So who is closer to Saka? I would say Nico Williams. I think in terms of his playing style is very, very close to Saka. Who do I think would have a bigger impact? I think Pedro Neto, in my opinion, would have Leandro Trossard impact in terms of coming in and giving us numbers and also giving us clutch moments. I kind of feel like I look at him as a player who is always delivering. Like, look at his first part of the season at Wolves before picking up an injury. There was a time where he was the leading assist maker in the Premier League, and that is, this is a league where we have real quality. Foden has been on top of his game. Cole Palmer has been put top of his game. Odegaard has had one of the best seasons, but Pedro Neto, at some point in time in this league last season, was one of the top creators, and was getting in the assists as well. So for me, in terms of impact, the here and now, apart from the injury record, Pedro Neto without doubt. But because he's got that injury record, I think just here, because he's been scouted for a long time, Williams is the more concrete target.
Cossy, the last 4 years, Pedro Neto has missed 100 games with injury. 100 games. How many games do you have in a season? Neto is
he picking up different injuries in different areas, or he has a recurring area where he's picking up a similar, a recurring injury?
Even more worrying. This season, he missed. He got 2 injuries, both on the hamstring. He missed 11 games. He missed 9 games after that. The previous season, it was an ankle injury. It kept him out for 27 games. The 2020 season, he had a knee injury. He missed 52 games. The previous season, muscle injury. Previous season, calf injury, knock. Calf injury. Those are way too many games. He's had now.
Too many games, different injuries. Someone needs to explain, really.
Someone needs to explain. And the games is missing is what is absolutely 100 games in the last 4 seasons. Like, that's even more than Partey and Zinchenko and Tomiyasu combined. That means he's missing at least 25 games per season.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, if it's a backup for Saka, you might as well just not have anyone. Neto is a very good player. If he's not injury prone, as you said, assists and goals, and there's a goal he scored against Man United when I think Maino came back and scored later on to make it 4-3 in the last minute. He just ran past players, and you can tell the quality is absolutely there. Neto is very good. I watched him last night. He came off the bench for Portugal. He was playing on the left side, actually, in that Portugal game, and the guy with the FC Porto father was playing on the right side. I can't pronounce his name. He was playing on the right side. So Neto was actually playing on the left side. His job is to try and cross the ball. He was, pace-wise. Bruno's trying to pick him out. Very, very good in terms of all that. He can definitely help out. So if Neto at his best, he can probably even try and bench Saka. At his best, he's very good. Explosive. He can shoot the ball. I remember him destroying Chelsea. Confident. They destroyed Chelsea. Him and Cunha destroyed Chelsea when they beat them 4-2 back in February. They absolutely destroyed them. I think it was Chilo Lukaku on the left side. They absolutely got dismantled by Neto. He's direct. Left foot, right foot. He can cross the ball with the right foot. If you get him to his left foot, it's absolutely dangerous. The problem is he's going to do that for 1 game off the bench and another 45 minutes from starting the next one, and then you're going to say goodbye to him until December, and then he's going to come and do that for you for 3 games, and then the 4th game you're like, Cossy, man, this guy's back now. 4 games in a row, 2 goals, 3 assists, out up until April. And then you have to wait for the next season.
Basically, he's an attacking Thomas Partey. Always good when he's available, but never available.
Yeah, he's still very young. He's still 24 years of age. He still he's an international player. But this is another player who, if he's called up by Portugal, you're like, oh no, he's going to go again, play 2 games. He's going to come back with an injury. Unless we were getting rid of at least 2 players who are injury prone, because we have 4: Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Partey, Jesus. If you're getting rid of 2 of them, 3 of them have been linked to, actually all 4 of them have been linked with moves away, then you can get Neto. Maybe the thing is, if Neto doesn't play every single day, maybe he doesn't pick up the injuries. Maybe it's just a backup 30 minutes, not too much pressure on him, goes off, plays the game for 55 minutes, Saka comes on. Maybe that could work out for us. In terms of quality, Neto is absolutely fantastic, but 100 games?
We found a way around the Gabriel Martinelli injuries, which were, starting to become a point of concern. Do you think Arsenal maybe feel that that's a problem they can find a solution for?
You said it's going to make an impact. Is it going to be in the field or in the doctor's room, in the physio's room? Because it's going to make an impact in terms of making the physio tired and, more work for the physio to do. But you could be right. He's only 20 years of age. But Martinelli also kind of picked up a one injury for 1 year. He was out and then he came back. I don't think he really picked up an injury after that in terms of serious injury. Yes, he still misses games. But the 100 games is very concerning in the last 4 seasons. And if it was just, I don't know, which one is better? Is it if you're picking up different injuries, or would you prefer if it was just one thing that you can try and sort out? Because hamstring, ankle, knee, muscle, calf.
With the players picking up different injuries, there is no predictability, and there is no assurance that you can deal with it. But
is it too rapid?
He is too rapid. He is
because Michael Owen did say he was so quick in terms of going in behind the defender, and after 6 years when he started picking up those hamstring injuries, he just needs, because I just run too quickly and I pick up the injury, so I need to slow down. So you don't want that with Neto and ask him to slow down.
No, you don't want that. Now with with players that pick up one consistent injury, we have seen it with Ansu Fati at Barcelona. He's had knee surgery after knee surgery after knee surgery, and his career is just going because of that one injury. Doesn't pick up other injuries. It's just that recurring injuries. I think if it can be dealt with, it better be one injury, but multiple injuries, that is really, really, really scary in terms of a club investing money there. Now Williams is a player that I like. Obviously at Spain, I prefer Dani Olmo, but Williams is the one that we are linked with as a concrete target. Arsenal have scouted him. Is one we talked about last summer and in January as well. So release clause available. Very young talent. Not sure he's going to want to move out of Spain, but one that's really wanted by FC Barcelona. Do you see it happen, number one? And do you think Arsenal bring him in and Saka is like, I need to pull up my socks?
Nico Williams and Olise, it could only have happened if that was our priority. If we already had a striker sorted and we already had a left back, and this one you're just trying to get a winger and a midfielder, that could have happened. But in terms of, because we have other priorities, it's very difficult. Now, would I take Nico Williams at Arsenal? 100%. That's why even his brother, man. Inaki Williams' injury record is incredible. I think he played 4 seasons without missing a minute. It's just insane. Is Nico Williams the same?
I can't understand how a player does that. How do you do that?
Is Nico Williams the same?
Yeah, Williams doesn't pick up injuries. Actually, doesn't really pick up lots of injuries. Doesn't pick up injuries. Knox as a player that is fouled a lot, bit like Saka, but he can play through them.
It would be exciting to have a player who can play left wing, right wing. He has experience now from Spain, because there's some games I've watched him in his brother destroying teams all by himself. I think one of them was against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey. Just rip them apart, the 2 of them. They can do it. So someone like a Nico Williams, how much is his release clause?
55 million pounds.
If you had a budget, we were told you have a budget 180 million. And I have a trolley and a shopping list, go for Sesko. I want a backup for winger who can also play on the left side, can help us. You get Nico Williams and you get a midfielder. That would probably be my shopping list. And then you try and get a cheaper defender. So Nico Williams, I want Bakayoko first. I know you've kind of forgotten about him. Bakayoko would be, but Nico Williams would definitely take for 55 million, 50 million. I would take him as we've never really. Most of our players are kind of a cheaper side. Trossard 25 million, Martinelli 8 million. Never really like splashed the cash for a winger. Saka is academy boy. Nelson is academy boy. Never really used that much money to get those players. So for me, Nico Williams, I wouldn't say no brainer, but I'd be happy to take him. If you're getting Seska, then you're getting someone like that, and then you add that to Havertz, to Odegaard, to Martinelli, to Trossard, to Saka, I think you made ourselves a better team. Imagine like Nelson is going, and then Nico Williams is the one who's coming.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's an upgrade. That's better.
It's a very, very good upgrade. And that is a player who can even play when you're trailing in the Champions League against Bayern Munich. You can turn to your bench and Saka is tired, Nico Williams coming.
Yeah, I actually see him as a Jeremy Doku. We've talked about like switching them. I see him as a Jeremy Doku, rapid, explosive, doesn't fear to take on anyone. I think if Arsenal can do it, I wouldn't be against. Like I said, I would love to see a player like Dani Olmo. I love him. Bakayoko, I think, is a cheaper option, and again, another fearless player that will run at you. So that would be another good option. But there's no problem with Nico Williams. Now, in terms of the striker, reports today have indicated that Kai Havertz, and his position will not impact Arsenal's plans. The plan was from day one to get a striker, and that's going to remain. But also, last season when Arsenal played Bayern, we missed an X factor. There was an X factor that Arsenal missed, especially that kind of killer instinct to unlock defenses. And the decision was made that a center forward with ABCD qualities is going to come in, and that center forward priority on the list of that center forward list is Sesko. I'm not going to ask you about Sesko a lot because we've discussed him extensively on both channels. In terms of the X factor that is missing in at a club like in a game like Bayern, where we did a lot of creating at home. We should have killed that game. What did we miss? What did we miss in that in the Bayern games home and away that you would look to bring in if a striker had it?
Killer instinct, and it was different parts of both of the games. Now, again, something that I always say, I don't think Arsenal are desperate for a striker. I always make myself clear in terms of that. But we need something different up front, and we need to keep on improving the team, as you always say. And striker is one of the positions you can keep on improving. Now, against Bayern, I think Bayern, they came to the Emirates, they didn't have fans, and the first 30 minutes of the first 20 minutes, they were really struggling. We could have been up 4-0. Now, maybe you can't blame Ben White for missing that. It's not really a striker. Chance like that can fall to you.
Actually, blame him. You could actually blame him because there are situations that if you score that, like Carvajal, for me, he won that Champions final.
Champions League.
Because Dortmund were on top of them, right? So regardless of which position you play in, if you find that yourself in such a position, you've got to bury that.
Okay, so in the X factor, it could be for us and for the opposition team as well. Now, for the opposition team, if you have a striker there who has got 25 goals this season so far, the Upamecano's and the Dyers and the elites would be like, oh, we can't push here. We have to, you have to worry about this.
The center backs occupied and worried.
We have a very good team, but maybe a team like that in terms of defense, they can feel like, okay, we have the pace of catching up with Havertz. We have we can sort out Trossard or Martinelli if he's playing. I think it was Martinelli was playing on that day. We can sort that out. Maybe they can feel that way. But if you have someone like an Osimhen there or Sesko, maybe they would feel like, we can't really dwell on the ball too much. They'll clear the ball, clear the ball quicker. Maybe get the ball quicker back. And maybe if they have someone who's not quick enough and they don't really fear him as a striker, they'd feel like, we're not really too wide. So that is from the opposition point of view. From our own point of view, at home, you could easily have been 2-3-0 up if you had the striker. If you just had someone who, had the ability and the just wanting to score a goal. The selfishness. Maybe for our team, maybe Havertz was like, okay, I'm not going to score today, but I'm going to try and create for someone. Or Odegaard at the same time, okay, I'm trying to go and create for someone. Hasaka is like, enter the box, I'm going to try and create for you. but they don't have anyone who's going to finish. If you had someone who's just going to sit there in the box and try to keep the defenders occupied, free up space for Odegaard in that outside the box area, free up space for Havertz if it was possible, if he's playing in a different role, that would have been great. And in the second leg, where you're going to Bayern and the game is tight and you need to try and keep a clean sheet to win the game, you're not going to get too many chances. Those Bayern Munich's, Liverpool's, Man City's, you're going to get 2 chances at most in terms of good chances. Even against us, Man City can only get like 1 or 2 good chances.
Yeah.
Actually, both games, if I was to count, I'd say maybe Man City had 3 good chances in total in 2 games. And we also didn't have a lot. I can think about, maybe the Trossard one only and the Jesus one against Man City away. Maybe he created like 2 good chances against them, both of the legs.
I think in the second leg, it was was it Martinelli or Trossard who had the chance up there?
Trossard at the end.
To roll it down to whoever was actually
Saka.
through. That was the beautiful, beautiful moment.
He should have passed it. And also in the first half, Jesus got a chance like 3 times or something, and then he was trying to dribble too much. Maybe a striker there just shoots the ball and you have the lead and the game changes against Man City. Now against Bayern away from home, the chance fell to Martinelli in the first half. Weak shot saved. Maybe if that falls to a striker, you're 1-0 up.
Penalty. Like I actually didn't have a problem with the power on the shot.
Martinelli.
Placing, the placing, like that was a penalty, almost a penalty.
Yeah, so if maybe it falls on a striker, maybe it doesn't wait for all that. He bangs it right away, 1-0 up, the game changes. 45 minutes to go, you're 1-0 up, and now you can keep a clean sheet, maybe the game changes. If they score, it's 1-1 extra time. So yeah, there's definitely something that was missing. I don't think you're missing the technique. I don't missing the skill. I think you're missing the killer instinct and more importantly, the experience.
Now, like I've said before on this podcast, people have really taken my name into contempt with this opinion. If we are looking for the killer instinct, which I've sung for the last 2 seasons, thank God it is here, I don't think Sesko is the one. Honestly, I've said this before and I said again, I don't think Sesko is the one in terms of that killer instinct, experience, hunger in front of goal. I don't see him as a hungry hunting dog. I think Gyökeres would do a much better job. I think Lautaro Martinez would do a much better job in terms of you looking for that killer, that boy that is always, running in behind with the gun. So does Sesko have the killer instinct to you? And if he doesn't have it, who?
I mean, he definitely still has something that we don't have. Yeah, he still has the to score.
I mean, his education is of a center forward, but I'll tell you that Neil Mopez's education is of a center forward as well.
And a troll as well. He's also educated in the Trolls University. So, yes, but I know what you say. If you look for killer instinct, you'd probably choose Osimhen. You'd probably choose... Does even Isaac fit there?
No, doesn't.
Because in terms of killer instinct, I'm thinking Aguero. I'm thinking Shearer. Yeah. I'm thinking Lewandowski. I'm thinking Kane, those strikers who can bang in 40 goals.
So in terms of the striker situation, that is what we are looking at. There is that X factor that Arsenal are looking for in the market. Benjamin Sesko is obviously the point of focus at Arsenal. He appreciates the project and he has projects from Man United, Arsenal, and RB Leipzig as well. Finally, the goalkeeping situation is going to be decided by advice or by the recommendation of the goalkeeping coach, who is Inaki Keina. Last summer, Inaki Keina said, we are going to sign David Raya. We should sign David Raya. And eventually we got that deal done. This summer, we are hearing there's going to be an exodus of goalkeepers, including Ramsdale, including Okonkwo. And we might see 2 goalkeepers coming in, a backup or a deputy to Raya, and also a third choice goalkeeper. I'm not really much interested in how many we're going to bring in, but I just want the profile. Justin Billow is actually the concrete target in this position. All the other players have actually just been fronted mainly by the media, but Justin Billow is the player that Inaki Keina would want to deputize David Raya. So when we talk about Justin Billow at Feyenoord, there are 3 things you've got to understand about him. 1, he's very close to David Raya. Secondly, a 26-year-old goalkeeper in his prime. And in terms of ball playing, best you can get as a second choice goalkeeper. What do you think about the goalkeeping situation? Like, I was thinking of someone older and someone like a Steele at Brighton. Looks like Arsenal going young and still quality closer to Raya?
I don't want that thing of who's going to play again next season. Personally, for me, my first option would be to try and convince Ramsdale to stay, keep both of them, go again next season. Don't worry about the goalkeeper situation. Have two good goalkeepers. That's not happening. I'm not the biggest fan of getting someone older who's about to retire to bring in experience and is happy to be on the bench. So I'm not really a fan of getting a Chesney or a De Gea or someone like that. I'm not a fan of that either. Now it's up to the last two positions, like the last two differences, like in terms of goalkeepers, maybe a young one or a one who's like it's the same age as Raya and is going to come and compete with him. Again, I still don't want that one for competing with Wire. So I would take Justin Bieler because he's a good goalkeeper and he's a cheap goalkeeper. I also don't want to get a 1 million goalkeeper like Randerson and expect him to, be a great. We always find a way to mention Randerson. I'm so sorry, Randerson. If we paid 1 million for Randerson, 1 million. If you pay 1 million for a player, you're going to get exactly what you paid for.
Yeah,
exactly that. So if you get a goalkeeper like a Barlow, 12, 15 million, something like that, and he's been playing for Feyenoord, then he has a bit of S-housery in his game. He's a bit, he's not going to be bullied and all that. That would be great. As someone, and if they're happy to be on the bench, and if you play them in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, they're not going to cost you goals because they're not good enough. So that's why I'm a little bit worried about players like Karl Hein. I'm hearing he's going to be offered a new contract.
Yeah,
Karl Hein. So that's a tricky one. Raya is definitely the first choice goalkeeper, but I think Ati's also looking for someone who can kick the ball, someone who can distribute the ball and all that. So the older goalkeepers, it's not easy to get that because they were raised in a different environment in terms of goalkeeping. Just catch the ball. For me, first option, keep Raya and Ramsdale, both of them. Don't worry about the goalkeeper. Second option, keep Raya as the first choice goalkeeper. Go and look for a younger goalkeeper, Emelie, someone like that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching the Cossy Arsenal podcast. This is the GLEN and Cossy podcast that comes your way every single day at exactly 8 p.m. It premieres on my channel at 8 p.m. and it premieres on Everything Arsenal, the Glenn Kitely channel at exactly midday, almost every single day. So make sure you watch it, you like, you subscribe, and you give us your thoughts in the comment box below. Are you happy with the priorities that Arsenal have gone with? Are you happy with the profiles? And are you really happy that we might not see GLEN Timber actually become the great next season player that we were all expecting, and you might see a new left back coming in, and that could actually commit, GLEN Timber to a new role or probably to the bench. I want your thoughts. I want your opinions below. Have a good night, and we'll speak again tomorrow.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. Best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me for. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. lost my best friend.